Hello again, welcome back to my channel. Today in our lesson we're going to talk about triads, or sort of triads. You'll see what I mean here in a second, but just to get started, if you don't know what a triad is, it is the simplest chord you can play. It's a chord with just 3 notes in it. So for example, if it's a major chord, it's just the first note, the third note, and the 5th note out of the scale. If it's a minor triad, it'd be the first note, the flat 3rd note, and the 5th note. If you don't know much about that, if that's confusing to you, go look up triads, Google it. You know, a lot of that's coming from major scale things. I'll be putting out some videos about that kind of stuff and some basic music theory as well. So look for those in the future. But for today's lesson, it assumes that you know a little bit about that. And this is a way to take those triads, which I know a lot of times people learn these triad shapes, you know, and then it's hard to incorporate them into your playing. So today's lesson is mostly about how to take those ideas, those small, simple chords, and incorporate them into what you do, just like our video on slide guitar and our video on chicken picking. So the simple triads, a lot of people use shapes, like there's a pattern I use a lot where it's like an F shape, and then it might be a D shape or a C shape, and then it could be an A shape. And a lot of these shapes, you don't have to, you can play them as just a triad if you pick out like a 3 strings, a little grouping of 3 strings, but you can also make them bigger. So once you get past 3 strings, you're not really playing a triad anymore. You're making it bigger, but we're really just talking about simple chords, and that's why I say kind of we're talking about triads. But here's a little hack that I came across years ago, and sort of have put it into my own playing style, and it has served me really, really well. I wish I'd learned it sooner. So that's most of these videos are about things I wish someone had sat me down on day one and said, hey, you'll use this one day, do this. Don't waste your time doing all these things. So we're going to talk about these little chords, these little triads, but I'm going to base them all around the shape that almost everybody knows who picks up a guitar and is trying to play lead or play more complicated things, and that's just a random pentatonic, a minor pentatonic scale. And we're going to do it in A minor today. On the 5th fret, it's this shape. If you don't know that, that's A minor pentatonic. Go look it up, Google it, search YouTube. That shape also, even though it's A minor, can also be C major. A minor is the relative minor of C, so those are the same groups of notes, they're the same scale. If you don't know that, I'll have a lesson come out on relative majors and minors and pentatonic scales coming out pretty soon as well. But for now, Google it, look up YouTube, go back and review that. But if you know that shape and you want to play some triads, here's a super easy way to do it that will let you play almost every chord in the key. And then it's, once you get it in one spot, it's super movable. You just slide it up and down the neck. So if that is my shape, and again, this can work for A minor or it works for the key of C major, we can take every single note in the scale, in like a C major scale, and build a chord, and they can all fit, for the most part, right in that shape. And so it makes them easy to find. You don't have to think about it so much. So if I'm in the key of C, let's just talk about it from the major key. If I'm in the key of C, and that's the first chord, I can actually build that chord right here for my pentatonic scale. Here's the 5th fret. That's actually a C bar chord, but I don't want to play that. I don't want a big chord. I just want a little chord. Now that would work as a triad, but the way that I end up doing it a lot of times, just for sort of ease of use, is I take my pinky and I put it on the 8th fret, which would be sort of the end of that pentatonic shape. And then I take my first finger and put it on the 5th fret, and it looks like that. So I use that a lot of times for a C chord, and that would be my 1 chord in the progression. And that's also gets, if you don't understand the numbers, that gets into a little music theory stuff too. But it's just, I'm just taking the C, D, E, F, G, A, B in a C scale. And those all, they would get certain chords, like the 1 would always be a major chord, so we'd have C major. The 2 would be D, it'd be D minor. 3 would be E, it'd be E minor. The 4 and 5 are major chords again, so it would be F major, G major. The 6 is the relative minor, it'd be A minor. 7 would be a B, normally that's a diminished chord. We're not worried about that for the day. If that's confusing too, probably need to go back and you know, maybe look up the Nashville numbers or just how the scale harmonizes into chords. We'll get a lesson on that later as well. But again, so here I'm using that as my one chord, my C major. Now, to be fair, this is not a triad because this, I actually cut out the third note on the B string. So I'm actually just playing, that's a G, that's a C, that's the one, another G, and another C. So even though I'm using this like a triad, this shape is actually, it's just like a little C5. If I wanted it to be a real triad, I could just play that. I could play this, but I'm using that shape. So on the D string, 5th fret, G string, 5th fret, B string, 8th fret, E string, 8th fret. There's my one chord. Now, my two chord is gonna be super simple. I'm just gonna keep this finger here and I'm just gonna play like an A minor shape. So almost a full bar chord here, but not. I don't have the 5th string held down. I'm just playing those. That would be my two chord, which in this case it would be a D is the next note in the key of C. So this would be like a D minor. And then all I'm playing is 4th string, which is the D string, would be the 7th fret, G string, 7th fret, and then I'm playing B string, 6th fret, and E string, 5th fret. Now, the 3 chord is the only one where we really have to move. I don't have a great way to play it in this shape, so it literally just is gonna move over 2 frets. E minor. So C, D minor, E minor. Then I go right back to my shape for my 4 chord, which is gonna be F. And all it is I'm making a D shape with these fingers. So I'm barring the 5th fret with my first finger on the G, B, and E strings. And this finger, my middle finger, is gonna play the B string on the 6th fret. That makes a D, and then if I want more of it, which I almost always do, ring finger, 7th fret, D string. That works for an F. If I wanted it to be a full chord, I'd use my pinky, but that's cumbersome. We don't want that. We just want that. Then to make my G chord, I'm gonna go back just like I played the C, but I'm gonna take my ring finger and I'm gonna add it there on the 7th fret on the G string. So now I've got first finger, 4th string, 5th fret, ring finger, 7th fret on the G string, and then the B and E string are both the 8th fret with my pinky. Now to be fair, this is not a normal G triad, it's really G suspended, but it works almost every time, and if I don't play the high E string, I got just a G. If I add the high E string, it's suspended. And then the best one, the final one is just gonna be this. Just like the beginning of Stairway to Heaven. But it's just, it's my ring finger on 7 on the D string, and my first finger is still hanging out on all those other strings on the 5th fret. That's the 6th chord, that's the minor. Now the ones you will use the most by far are the C, the 1, the F, which is the 4, the G, which is the 5, and the 6, which is the A minor. If you've got the hang of those shapes and you're playing a chord, let's say you're playing a chord progression and it is 1, 6, 4, 5. So C, A minor, F, G. Instead of going up here playing big chords, which if you're playing by yourself, that might be the answer, that might be the best thing. But if you're playing with a band, you're playing with another guitar player or all sorts of situations where you don't want big chords with bass notes that get in the way. You can also kind of arpeggiate that. Awesome part too is you're right there in your pentatonic scale, and if you happen to know it as like A natural minor, you've got a ton of notes you can use. You can add so many things, and it's right there under your fingertips. And then now you're able to add some chord shapes in, not just noodly things. It works awesome for funky stuff. If there was another guitar player playing, like I said, like if we were playing, you know, let's say they're playing C, A minor, F, G. Here's that on a loop. So there's C, there's the 1 chord. There's the 6th chord, that's the A minor. There's F, the 4, and G, the 5. So there's my 1. There's my 6, 4. So I can use that to craft a part I might play. I could strum along, it'd be like being capoed. So that's just an example of why that's useful. As you get better at those things, you can move them around. You might decide to take that, knowing that that's the 1 chord. You might go up to that for F, or that for G, or knowing that that's the 4 chord and that's an F. You might say, okay, that means that's a G, so that's a C. There's all sorts of ways you could twist those things once you get the hang of those 6 shapes. Sometimes there in the song there is a flat 7. So like let's say that we were in the key of C and there was a B flat. All I'd have to do is go back. Let's say the chord progression was C, and then B flat, and then F. Pretty common chord progression that doesn't really fit what we just did. So, but we could make it C, and then just a whole step back to B flat, right back to my 4 chord. Awesome ways. And then let's say that this is in a different key. Let's say it's in the key of D. There's the 1 chord, same shape. I just moved up 2 frets, a whole step. So from C to D, the 2 chord would be E minor now. The 3 chord would be F sharp, G, A, B minor. If I wanted to move it to B flat, there you go. 1 chord's B flat. 4 chord is E flat. 5 chord, F. 6 chord, G minor. So even keys like that maybe you don't know off the top of your head as well, you could just move to the spot and know 1 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord. It's really helpful if you get in a situation live where you learn a song and say A, you get there and the singer says, oh, we're gonna do it in E flat. Well, if I learned it in A and I know that it's 1, 6, 4, and I want to play it in E flat now, as long as I know that I can play this pentatonic shape for E flat, then I can come down and I can go the 1 chord, the 6 chord, the 4 chord, all right there and in the key of E flat. So to me, these shapes, man, they're super helpful. They've got me out of a bind more than once. They help you play parts that aren't always just big open chords. And again, big open chords are great sometimes. I play those too. But the triads will really give you another dimension to your playing and to your lead playing as well, because you can throw some of those chord shapes in and it makes it really easy to start seeing arpeggios and parts that go with the chord that's actually being played. So anyways, I hope that is super helpful. One more time, here's the shapes. There's the 1, 5, 5, 8, 8, 8, 5, 5, 8, 8. The 2, which is minor, which is just an A minor shape. Sliding that over. That would be your 3, so your E minor. 4, just like a D shape, so it's gonna be 7, 5, 6, 5, that was the 4 chord. That was the F. The G, this is the 5. So it's going to be 5, 7, 8, 8, and the 6, 7, 5, 5, 5. Again, these aren't real triads unless you only play 3 of the notes, and those 3 notes have to all be the chord, the 3 notes from the chord, the 1, 3, 5, the 1 flat 3, 5, whatever. So yeah, so don't comment, oh, these aren't real triads, you're horrible. I know. That's the point. These are sort of ways to get that idea, cheat a little bit, but to be right there in the pentatonic scale. So like and subscribe. Make sure you click the bell so you'll see when new lessons come out, new videos come out. I've got a ton more lessons queued up, so there'll probably 2 or 3 more coming out next week about some different things. And probably some more like live footage of some shows I have coming up, and just some sort of like jam videos. So all that stuff coming up. Hope you have a great 4th of July. Again, click like and subscribe, click the bell. See you next time.